Like there's rarely any times where he throws, more than let's say 20 passes, and it's rare that he ever completes more than like let's say 10. So
Even just the way he draws out in the backfield, getting his guys open, making time with his feet, it shaves off a lot of time off the clock, and that's why you see these close games, and Brocation can afford to play the aggressive defense that they have, and that's why they get these picks. They have a steady rush, they have a great defense, and time is on their side for the bulk of these games. I fully expected them to win this one, and I'm kind of disappointed they didn't.
absolutely, we discussed them being the favorites going in. We discussed also last week that MVE would need to kind of build on their last win and to take it to the next level and beat another contender, and they did exactly that. So what does that mean for MVE moving forward?
It shows that we shouldn't be writing them off just yet. They're just as good an offense and defense as they believe they are, that they've been able to keep up with sort of top dogs that we've mentioned in the division. A couple more wins, it'll definitely put them on everyone's radar.
And for Brocation on the other side, is this just, you toss this one out and
just keep on going.
Stick to your game plan?
Learn from it at least. If anything, learn from what happened in those 9 incompletions or however many, even though you got 5 complete for 3 touchdowns. I'd still kind of take that stat line.
Do you think that Christian should, attempt more passes, or do you think that keep this formula going and
this is what works for them, and
it works until the playoffs. Yeah. So do you think that they should maybe switch that, or do you think they stick with their style and hope that this time it works?
Look, at the end of the day, this is a team that they're 7 guys most of the time. There's 6 to 7 guys on the field, week in, week out. The fact that you don't have to actually check that. They're that.
No, I was don't worry about it. I wasn't checking that.
Okay,
I believe you.
Usually, you've looked season in, season out. Brocation are never a deep roster because those guys are always there. Yeah. And they know how each other play, and they have that chemistry. So I think that changing that sort of overall composition may not work for them, even if we think that in the long run, yes, maybe it'll win them some playoff games. But I think that this is a tried and true method for them, and they've just got to make it through. This is also, Brocation have won championships, so.
But I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say that they won those championships with a throwing quarterback.
Cool.
Right? They made it to the championship last year with Phil Cutler, and you saw how much success they were able to have with the pass catchers that they had. So
they made it to the finals as well with Marco, who was sort of at that time that dual threat running, throwing quarterback as well. Still also a pocket passer as well, but another one to keep in mind.
Fair enough. Next game had the Show Me Your TDs taking it 19-12 over Eskimo Brothers. Mike Adana had 142 yards passing and 3 touchdowns, no picks. Zach Staszkowski on the other side, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Low-scoring game here. What can you say about what you saw?
What can I say about what I saw? Well, firstly, Trevor Ruffner was not in that game. We've been discussing what a key addition he's been. Definitely would have been huge for them on that quarters of this game with the ball. And when your defense is on for 3 quarters of the game, you're not going to win it.
Not a good stat line for your defense. Not a good showing at all.
Mike Adana kind of cut up the Eskimo Brothers defense as well. He stuck to what worked for him and was patient and just drove the field.
Yeah, you see, 18 completions for 29 pass attempts for 142 yards. It shows like a low yards per pass. Anthony Adana, 9 catches for 72 yards and 2 TDs. It seemed like he was really the go-to as per usual. Do Show Me Your TDs have enough depth on the receiving end to make a run?
We've seen them be strong before. Honestly, they're doing better now and in season and even in last season compared to maybe further back where they had a more quote-unquote a deeper roster with Julien Bellavance and Sean Haney. Like on paper, those rosters were stronger, but looking at this now, like this is possibly the strongest Show Me Your TDs team we've seen to date. And it's just the fact that it's just the right pieces that are put together. They play well together. And Mike Adana is using the tools around him to the best of his ability.
Yeah, we talk about Mike Adana's growth as a quarterback in the past few episodes as well. What can we expect Mike's ceiling to be? Like, can he continue to improve, or do you think he's reached kind of a standstill? Or
I don't think he's reached a standstill because he is still that player that Pease leans on when Fred Vienne is not there, or they need someone to come in and come up and fill in. He filled in a Darksiders game, which was a 1-point loss, but admittedly, the fact that he held his own in Division B with the defenses of Division B and a roster that's semi-unfamiliar to him shows that there's still room for growth with him.
Absolutely. On the other side for the Eskimo brothers, now it's 2 losses in a row. I mean, last time they didn't have Steen. This time they don't have Ruffner. Can you just kind of chalk that up to their absences, or do you think it could have made a difference?
Until we see otherwise. No doubt, when you have two sort of workhorses like Trevor Ruffner and Sean Steen, it's definitely a confidence boost for a quarterback. And just take for an example, like what would you do in a game if you were missing both Simon and Kenton, or sort of the guys that you tend to lean on? You think a little bit harder about those reads, those first reads and those second reads, because it's not the guys that you know are 100% going to go up and make that catch and make that play for you.
Absolutely. It does change things, even though, a new guy might just be as talented or as, even better. Who knows, right? But it's, like you said, it's the level of comfort with the people that you're throwing to usually. And, it's the anticipation and the trust that goes into the throw that you're, let's say you're throwing a timing route, you're really expecting your guy to be there because you've done it so many times.
And I think this isn't our division, but just to touch on it a little bit, like VPC Fat and the Furious in Division B, that's a testament of just having that comfort and familiarity. That's a Division D roster with Robbie at QB, and he's still making it work because he has that. So it just goes to show you that it doesn't necessarily matter the skill level of your players if you have that comfort level and that familiarity.
Absolutely. Good point. Our third game saw No Name beating Brunch Buddies to drop them to 0-4, 30-21. Michael Roy, 101 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Simo Dagenet, 216 yards, 3 touchdowns, but the good old Dagenet interceptions were alive. He threw 4.
And a convert.
And a convert as well. There you go. You see, Pease had an interception on defense. Looking at this right now, I'm pretty impressed. Yep. Grizzly on the other side had 2 picks and a pick 6.
So No Name came into this game wanting to be a statement to sort of shut up Simon Dagenet, and I guess the rest of us here in the media. And I got to say, while they won, had they played anyone else, they would not have won this game. Yeah. Michael Roy was frazzled and angry with his receivers for a bunch of drops. There were words exchanged on the field.
What kind of words?
Obviously not good ones. Yeah, sorry, train of thought. You saw that there was visible discomfort. Rob White, not the happiest of campers. Michael Roy, not the happiest of campers either. And it just seemed like having these key interceptions and forced throws on the Brunch Buddy side is what led No Name to really come through and finish this game out.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're throwing 2 pick 6s, it's going to be hard to win.
Yeah, I saw, for all the lack of catching that was going on in that game for No Name, there were still a lot of solid ones. I saw Rob White make a catch with his neck, which is obviously interesting.
Like a Tyree, kind of? Not even on the head, it was like...
it was in his neck, yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
So, while I'm very happy to see that No Name took this one to win, had they played anyone else, I don't think that this would have been the case. So they really need to work on their drops and really making the most of each play, because they might not have as many opportunities as they did in this game.
For sure. Mike Roy started off on fire the season in Division C, and he had a really good opening game in Division B, but now you're starting to see him struggle a bit, especially in Division B. But do you think this is him getting kind of razzled? Do you think it's like a mid-season kind of slump? What can he do to kind of turn things around?
Make his receivers catch the ball.
Okay, I didn't see the game, so I'm not sure. But yeah.
Okay, but I just spent the whole recap telling you that they had trouble with catches.
Drop passes is one thing, but then during a game,
how do you drive the field if you don't have completions?
Yeah, but you can't blame the whole game on drop passes.
You just said you weren't there.
I know, but I'm saying you can't.
But that's what I'm saying.
No matter what the game is,
they won't have this many opportunities if they're not catching passes. They need to help him out and really make the most of it, because otherwise, with stricter defenses, with defend DBs that jump those routes or pick up on those bobbles, it's going to be a long day.
Okay, fair enough. And Brunch Buddies on the other side, 0-4. I mean, nobody really saw this coming. I didn't put them in the top 10, but I didn't expect 0-4. I was expecting more of like a 500 kind of team. 0-4 is very surprising. Where has this team gone wrong?
It's hard because Friends with Benedict's had a successful season. It was mostly the same roster. You could even debate that this roster is deeper. However, Division C is... Eagle, you can stop pointing at yourself. Thank you. Alex Dakula, obviously the defensive mastermind behind the success of Friends with Benedict's and the lack thereof, I would guess. That being said, it's just
I like his smile too. He's like, yeah, it was me. It was all me.
deeper division. Simon's struggling in B, so if he's struggling in B, he's going to struggle in C as well.
Well, no. If he's struggling in B, why would he struggle? You mean
He's
if
playing just as poorly.
Yeah, but I mean, just because you're struggling in B won't mean you're struggling in C. C is less hard.
So that must tell you how bad he's struggling in B if he's struggling in C as well then.
Fair. Okay. So what is Simo doing wrong?
At the end of the day, I saw that game as well. One of Simon's favorite targets and more underrated players was Maxime Cote in that game. And I really got the impression that he was just forcing the ball a little bit too much, trying to make plays out of things that weren't there. Whereas, like, John Laristis caught 5 10-yard hooks on the outside. He caught 5 of them, and it was open all game, and Simon didn't abuse that matchup whatsoever. So I think it's just
he was trying to make everyone happy kind of thing?
No, it's not even making everyone happy. It's the impression I got was just these are the plays that work. This is the one guy I know that I can always count on, and he went to the well too often.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Maxime Cote just a sub on this team?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So the fact that Maxime Cote was on this team and he kept trying to force the ball when other things were open just shows you that he's having trouble taking what the defenses give him.
Okay. So it's kind of just stressing the issue when it's not there. Okay. And what can he do to kind of fix that?
Take what the defense gives him.
No, but as a mental,
I don't get what you want me to say here.
As a mental kind of note, like what can he tell himself? Like I know it's easy to say, okay, take what the defense gives him, but what can he do to kind of like pre-read?
Well,
Is there
as
anything
as a quarterback, as a Division B quarterback, what would you do?
I mean, first of all, like yes, you take what the defense gives you, but at the same time, like you're planning plays that are easy on you. That don't. First of all, like if you want to take some shorter plays so that you can actually read the defense real quick, and then you set up your plays from there. So
he should take what the defense gives him and call smarter plays.
Okay, GM, you've made your point. Thank you very much. Let's move on to our next segment. Me and GM, we're going to discuss how to build an FPF team. So we'll be back in just a few short minutes. No? Okay, we're not going to be back in a few short minutes. Perfect. So let's keep going.
I don't know.
After a segment. Okay. So we're gonna count down how to make a team. So GM, there's obviously different ways to attack making a roster. You and I were both GMs in this league. We have been for a while.
I've been a GM for most of my life.
All your life, some would say.
Thank you, Chapman.
If
that's all Chapman contributes for the whole show, I am very happy, and I'm going home and sleeping well.
But like I was saying, we've both been GMs for a while now in this league. I mean, you longer than I. What's the most important thing for you when you're building a team?
I think for me and for everyone in general is without a doubt choosing the right QB. I don't mean to kick a horse while it's down, but top season are just a perfect example of this season. Last winter, they were competitive in all their games, even their losses. They never lost a game by more than 6 points. Yes, they're hurt by the sort of cap by Concordia not letting their athletes play, which has cost them Jelani Gilbert, who was their quarterback. But it just shows you that it doesn't matter how stacked your roster is. If you don't have a QB who's familiar in moving the chains, you're not going to do well. Les Bleu Bronglers are another example of that. Going hand in hand with that, though, I would say choosing a QB is paramount, but also very, very important and somehow underrated is choosing the right division.
It's a good point, but then again, the cap has kind of helped that.
Yeah.
To a certain degree, so like. But at the same time,
for example, like look at a team like Evolution.
Yeah.
They've consistently put up 6 points every week.
Yeah.
Now, do you think that a team like that, maybe with a few adjustments, maybe losing Kinsley Adams for that cap space, don't you think a team like that would flourish in D? Maybe at worst be a 5-5 or 6-4 team.
I do agree, just because of the defense, just because of the players that are there. Even if you don't have the best of quarterbacks, like you said, you can definitely
you can build around that, and that's definitely something to really think about, is that if you're sort of choosing players, and we're talking about GMing a team, we're not talking about registering a team with guys you play play with every season, or friends that you're putting a team with. We're talking about specifically like engineering a team to win. I think you find a quarterback that's either on the edge of one cap or the other, and build a team around that in a specific division. Aside from that, my next real steps would be, just off the top of my head, we always say that the three most important positions are down the middle.
Yeah.
So quarterback, center, rusher. Center's obviously going to be your next big pick, or should be your next big pick. You look at the teams that are undefeated, they all have great snapping, they have great rushing, and that's definitely something to really think of. You can have the best safeties, you can have the best corners, but if your rusher's not getting the quarterback in time,
you can't cover for 6 seconds, So, but so what do you? Okay, so your quarterback's obviously first. After that, do you attribute more of your cast space to the defensive side of the ball or the offensive side of the ball? Like, where do you go next?
for the most part, a lot of our players, barring a few sort of separate instances, tend to be stronger on offense than defense. You see very few players who are stronger defensively over offense.
You're saying their rating? Or
rating-wise.
Yeah,
so usually you need to be more mindful of your offensive cap. So I would say maybe try and find a few players that are defensively underrated. Or a new trend that seems to be emerging is players who are really, really strong as receivers in upper divisions and also have that defensive experience are going down into lower divisions and playing quarterback. So they eat up all that cap space on defense. But even though they have the mindset and the know-how, they're not necessarily established quarterbacks, so they still have to prove themselves, and they have a lower receiver rating, so that allows for more room on offense than defense.
Exactly.
So you see teams like Top Sauce with Vince Nardone, who's an established receiver but not necessarily an established quarterback. Supply and Command with Justin Blanchard. We saw this even like seasons and seasons ago when Marco Macioscia went from receiver to quarterback. Rashdi Ben Abdelkader, Robbie Robinson. These are all guys who were established guys defensively and established receivers who brought that knowledge down to a lower division and really dominated.
Yeah, and to your point, I'd like, to me, like one defensive ball hawk is more valuable than an awesome receiver. Just because like now I run a system. So no matter who is in there, like, yes, I might like we were mentioning before, like I might trust a certain player more than another player, but at the same time, whoever I plug and play is going to contribute, whoever's in that slot. You see it this year, like whoever's on the field, like we have a 7-man rotation, so we're always switching up receivers, and no matter who's in there, it's usually working. Whereas in defense, it's very different. Like you need the chemistry, and you need like one or two, ball hawks that really change a team's dynamic. I don't know if you agree with that. Or?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think what this all comes down to in so many words is after you have those established positions. You really find players who sort of fit into that chemistry and find who they're comfortable with. Another thing to bear in mind that we're seeing a lot more, it's a very high risk, high reward, is bringing in someone without a rating.
Yeah, like a 50-50. Well, it used to be 50-50.
It's whatever division that they're put in. There's a base cap. But that being said, sometimes like we see a lot of examples where this turns out to be a huge benefit. Like we saw Kevin Smuda in last winter, Justin McLean. You see players who are brought in that just excel immediately, and then that you see their rating jump almost overnight. But the other end of that is that sometimes you bring in guys who are brand new and just don't do well.
Yeah, and especially if you're bringing a new guy into, let's say, Division B or C, and they automatically get that 80 or 70 rating, and they don't pan out, that hurts.
So it's a high-risk, high-reward scenario, but you're seeing a lot of captains use it a little bit more. So that's definitely something that you would bear in mind as well, to sort of round out that roster with a little gamble. But for me, quarterback first, division first, and then work around that.
Cool. Thank you, GM. So let's move in to our predictions of the week. So our first game on the docket is Brocasian and Varennes. Who's taking it?
We've talked about Brocasian a lot. I don't know if it's just the bias of the fact that we've mentioned their name and they seem more present and I watched that game. But I'm a big fan of Brocasian, and I think that they'll definitely take this one. It's going to be a close game for sure. I feel like we've slept on Varennes just because they're a newer team. They're not a lot of guys that we're familiar with. You see a lot of the old outlaws on that team as well. But for me right now, got to stick with Brocasian.
Okay. I do think Brocasian rebounds in this one. They're not going to lose 2 in a row.
Top Sauce versus Evolution.
Not going to pick my own game, so Top Sauce by Top
Yeah.
Sauce. Well, I guess,
Games.
yeah, Top Sauce will take it.
Considering Evolution scores 6 points a game, I do think that Top Sauce will score more than 6 points, so therefore Top Sauce.
Gotham Knights versus former Tomahawk.
I like Gotham Knights. They're a decently built team, and I'm going to go with them.
Okay. I'm going to stick with that as well. I think they just got too much experience and chemistry together. I mean, I'm not saying that former Tomahawk doesn't have the chemistry, but Gotham Knights has that higher level, so yeah.
Honey Badger Don't Care versus MVE.
Honey Badger don't care. This game may have some fireworks involved, and I think we're going to need a strong officiating crew on this one, but I think that Honey Badgers are going to take it, and I will even make it my arbitrary James Lock of the week.
I do like Honey Badgers in this game too, just because I think their defense is going to cause some ruckus. I think Anderson and Moses are both going to get a pick.
Lassos versus Top SZN.
Top season.
Top season.
Is that the first
Top
time? That's
SZN.
amazing. We need Chapman.
to just read all of it.
Top season don't have a quarterback right now. There's talk of Lonnie Johnson coming into this team. That's not concrete yet. And until then, I'm just forced to pick against Top season.
Agreed.
Eskimo Brothers versus Brunch Buddies.
Until further notice, I'm picking against Brunch Buddies.
Yeah, Simon's probably going to toss another 4 picks, so I'm going to take Eskimo in this one, especially if Steen and Rufter are both there. I don't see why they would lose.
Les Coyotes versus Show Me Your TDs.
Coyotes are very, very strong, and I said I would pick them until they lose, so there you go.
I said the same exact thing preseason, and Coyotes until they lose.
Killer Bees versus the Commission.
Ooh, I feel like I've picked against the Commission for too long, and this is definitely a game where they'll excel, and the type of football they play and the system that they have will do well against Killer Bees.
Yeah, Killer Bees are they've struggled all season. I think Commission with Sean Abram at quarterback, there's no way they lose this game. That's my lock of the week.
No Big Deal versus No Name.
This is a tough one. I like to think that No Name should win this one, but I keep picking against them, and I see no reason to stop now. So it's no big deal if I pick another team. Like No Big Deal.
I like no big deal in this game too. I think No Name gets their first L of the season.
Keyport Lock versus Bearskins.
These are teams that are very familiar with each other, but Bearskins have just been far, far more consistent.
And that's saying a lot because Bearskins are not consistent. But I do like the Bearskins in this game. Keyport is just, I don't know what's wrong with them, but they're not doing well.
No Fly Zone versus Les Bleus Branleurs.
No fly zone easily.
Yeah, blowout.
Stockton Slap versus Jaeger Bomb.
Jaeger Bomb are still without their starting quarterback. Stockton Slap have been strong to begin with. They have a beast of a rusher, as we saw in the game of the week. Sort of going out with that J.J. Watt dive there.
The pleasure of sitting beside this guy.
Also, we have a gif of Brent Callender getting lit up.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
There's a couple, no?
I think I stopped and replayed that clip like 3 or 4 times at least.
With that in mind, they're going to stay strong. They're going to take their hits, but Stockton Slap are going to win it.
Yeah, I'm going to take Stockton Slap. My boy Brent Callender is going to hopefully light someone up this week, and Joey Taylor's on fire, so Stockton Slap.
My God, did I have fun making that GIF.
69ers versus Warhawks.
It was there were a lot of drops on the 69ers side, but I still think that they're a deeper roster than Warhawks. I'm not off the 69ers bandwagon just yet.
No, I think watching the game of the week. Honestly, 69ers easily could have pulled that upset. You had a drop in the end zone on 4th down on a nice throw by Dean, and there's a few other moments where they could have taken advantage of. I'm definitely not off the bandwagon. I definitely think they bounce back and they take this game.
That was the last game. I should have said that before.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Chapman. You're fired. Well, GM, thank you for joining me. Alex and Chapman, thank you as well. And thank you to our viewers for watching Week 4, Calling the Audible. Have an awesome week. Any final thoughts, GM?
I think you've said it all.
Perfect.